Hola, hola, and welcome back. So in this video, we're going to be seeing a scene with Pacho Herrera storming into a church and shouting at the churchgoers. He wants Gerda Salazar and her malparidos hijos, which is her fucking sons, to be delivered to him. And this is a message to Orlando Henao. So we're going to analyze the scene and the Spanish. If you do like this video, please give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe, because this really will help me out. So without further ado, let's begin.
Mi nombre es Pacho Herrera.
So Mr. Pacho storms in and says, my name is Pacho Herrera, which in Spanish is Mi nombre es Pacho Herrera. So mi nombre is, me is my or mine, nombre is name, es is. Es is from the verb ser, which means to be. There's another verb in Spanish to be, that's estar. Estar also means to be, but that's for temporary things. For example, your location. For example, I am in New York. Whereas ser, this verb is for more permanent things. Like in this example, a permanent thing is your nationality, your name, where you're from. So then you would use ser. So mi nombre es Pacho Herrera. My name is Pacho Herrera.
Quiero que me entreguen a Gerda Salazar y a sus malparidos hijos.
So first of all, quiero means I want. It comes from the verb querer. It can also mean that I love, but in this context it means I want. Then we have que afterwards. Remember, que in Spanish means that or which in English. However, when we translate the whole sentence, we do not translate que. It's like a buffer or a word in between quiero and the other verb structure in Spanish, which is me entreguen, which is a reflexive verb structure. So that's also important to understand, that we can't say quiero me entreguen, you say quiero que me entreguen. So now let's look at what me entreguen means. So me entreguen is translated as they're delivered to me, or it just says in the English delivered to me. You don't have to say they are delivered to me. Now in English you say they are delivered to me. In Spanish you say me, they are delivered to, and then ... is talking about Gerda Salazar y sus hijos, sus malparidos hijos. So me entreguen is from the verb entregarse. So when you have a reflexive verb, you have to say the first part in a personal pronoun according to who it's supposed to be happening to. And then entreguen is who are the ones doing it to. So me is delivered, they are delivered to me. So me as in me, entreguen, they are delivered. And then a is to. And then we say me entreguen a Gerda Salazar y a sus malparidos hijos. Now the reason we put a again when you say a, because he's talking about who else he wants delivered, not just Gerda Salazar but also her malparidos hijos. So quiero que me entreguen a Gerda Salazar y a sus malparidos hijos. He's listing who he wants to be delivered to him.
Eso pase, nadie en el norte del valle va a vivir tranquilo.
Hasta que eso pase, nadie el norte del valle va a vivir tranquilo. That means until that happens, nobody in the north of the valley is safe. So now let's break this down bit by bit. Hasta in Spanish means until, and hasta que can also mean until. And then eso means that. So hasta que eso means until that. Pase means happens, and nadie means nobody. Pase comes from the verb pasar, which is a regular AR verb, and that just means happens or to happen. And then nadie is nobody. So all in all we have until that happens nobody, hasta que eso pase nadie. En means in, el norte is the north, del valle of the valley. So del in Spanish, when you have de means of, but when you have de and then you have the word afterwards, it would be de el valle. But in Spanish, when you have the word el afterwards, the de and the el combine to create del. So en el norte del valle, in the north of the valley. Va a vivir tranquilo. Va a vivir is a immediate future construction in Spanish. Va is the verb conjugation of ir in the third person here, because he's talking about the people, nobody is going to live in peace. So he's talking about nadie. In Spanish, nobody, nadie is third person singular. So he uses va. And then a is the second part of the structure. And then vivir is the verb to live. And this is a verb infinitive. Basically, a verb infinitive means how it translates into English. It's an untouched verb. There's no conjugation that's happened. Va a vivir. And then tranquilo is in peace or in safety. In the translation with Narcos, they say it is going to be safe. But you could literally translate it as is going to live in peace.
¿Está claro?
Está claro means is that clear. So esta means is and claro means clear. Literally it means is it clear as a question. We add that in the translation into English because he's talking about a very specific thing he has said, that no one is going to live in peace. Okay, so he's going to be very specific in his terms in Spanish. So when you're translating into English, rather than say, is it clear? Saying, is that clear? He's being specific to what he has said before. He wants to be taken seriously, and what he has said to them, he wants to make sure. It's like in English, I would not say, is it clear? If I want to be specific, I would say, is that clear? That's why when you translate it, you've also got to translate the context and the meaning behind it from the original language.
Asegúrense de que este mensaje le llegue a Orlando Henao.
Asegúrense de que este mensaje le llegue a Orlando Henao. So now let's break this down bit by bit. Asegúrense de que means make sure that. So asegúrense is a compound word. So what that means is it's a combination of different words. So first of all, it's conjugated to the second person plural conjugation, which is ustedes in Spanish, and it's using the imperative form of the verb asegurar. So we end up having aseguren. And then we add the pronoun se. So the whole translation is make sure that. So asegúrense means make sure. So it's conjugated to plural, it's an imperative form, and you're using the two letters se at the end because it's who you're directing it to, which is ustedes. You use this two letters se when whoever you're directing it to. So asegúrense means make sure that. Este mensaje means this message. Este is this and it's masculine, and the mensaje is message. So this message, este mensaje. Le llegue a Orlando Henao. So le llegue, again, this is a reflexive verb from the verb llegarse, and it means to reach or arrive. Le is referring to Orlando Henao. Llegue is referring to reaching or arriving. A is to, so le llegue a arrives to or reaches to Orlando Henao. Le llegue a Orlando Henao. Make sure this arrives or reaches to Orlando Henao.
Y ahora, recen.
Y ahora recen, which means and now pray. Now in Spain they say the C as th, so they would say recen, but because this is Colombian and a Colombian dialect, they'll say recin, so they pronounce the C as a S sound, whereas in Spain they pronounce it as more of a TH th sound. So now let's break this phrase down bit by bit. So in Spanish, to say and is one letter and it's Y, E. And you pronounce this letter Y as E. So it's a bit confusing, but it's not entirely confusing. So it's E. So Y in Spanish is E. And you write it as a letter Y, but you pronounce it in English as E, the letter E. Ahora is now. Now remember, H in Spanish is silent, so we don't say ahora, we say ahora. So you imagine that the H is not there. So it's ahora. So E means and ahora means now. And then Pacho says recen, which comes from the verb rezar, which means to pray. And he's used it in a subjunctive because he's giving his opinion, so therefore use a subjunctive tense. And it's also in the plural because he's talking to a group of people in the church. So the recen is subjunctive and in the plural, and from the verb rezar, which means to pray. So he's telling them pray. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, again, please like, share, comment and subscribe. That will really help me a lot. Leave your comments down below, any video suggestions from any clips in Narcos or any other Spanish shows. It doesn't just have to be Narcos. So until next time, hasta luego.